I told you guys, nothing will happen on the June 30th. Do you know why? This is the amount of money the government will lose if the June 30th happen. So the government will do everything.
Guys, please share this video. This is good news. I mean, to me, this is good news. It is good news to you, African brother. This is amazing. I've been telling them that this nonsense that they are doing, there are other countries in our
travelers who visit South Africa in a year. 77% of that number are actually Africans from Africa. On the average, South Africa makes roughly $20 billion to $22 billion from tourism in a year, and 77 of that revenue is generated from black Africans from Africa who choose to travel to South Africa for vacations, weddings, and tours, and so on. According to the most recent travel data for Africa for the year 2024, here are the most visited countries.
It is a hard time for South Africa, as a lot of people have started withdrawing from traveling to South Africa, and South African economy is now shrinking. It is now going down, and a lot of businesses are beginning to opt out from South Africa. I'm going to be sharing some videos with you all to watch, and as you're watching, do so over to like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And to some people, they said ever since Ghana, Mozambicans, Nigerians are about to leave South Africa, the economy is shaking, drastically shaking.
Oh no. Foreign investors are fleeing South Africa and closing their businesses and leaving, and therefore lots of people are becoming unemployed. This is a thing because you're chasing away people, not realizing that those are business owners with real worries and real issues. So PNP has closed its doors with 22,000 people set to lose their jobs. This is a problem. Yesterday, 600 Ghanaian nationals were sent back by their government. Actually, their government is assisting them to go back to Ghana, closing their businesses and taking away their money and leaving. Good for you, Ghanaians. But the thing is, with all this xenophobia in Africa, and again, I don't care if you come to my DMs, because I'm not going to look at what you write in my DMs. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because it concerns Africans, okay? I will talk about it. And if you don't want me to talk about South African xenophobia, don't be xenophobic, okay? But Africans are leaving South Africa. They are closing their businesses. Investors have now been spooked, and they are going to be closing their businesses and leaving the country.
Guys, please share this video. This is good news. I mean, to me, this is good news. It is good news to you, African brother. This is amazing. I've been telling them that this nonsense that they are doing, the other countries in Africa are watching, and they're not going to tolerate such a nonsense. Watch this video. I've been telling them that you don't know what you are calling for. You don't know what you're calling for. I'm coming back. Just watch the video. Watch this video that actually the news in South Africa, the government of South Africa, this is what now it's happening.
We've been told that many African countries now have reservations in terms of what's happening in South Africa, and that decision taken by Ghana to summon our diplomat to come and explain, it's likely going to spread if they don't deal with this issue. We saw another largest economy, the second largest economy on the continent, that is Nigeria, doing the same last week, calling in the acting high commissioner to come and explain. And therefore, if bigger countries on the continent are doing this, it's going to be a trend with other countries as well. And therefore, it will affect not only the political relations, but also the trade relations. You know, South Africa is facing a huge challenge of ensuring that the economic growth, the rate in which the economy is growing, it's much better, because if we don't improve the economic growth rate, we are continuously going to have this economic pressure. And therefore, you won't see job creation, you won't see the opportunities being presented to South Africans, particularly the young people, because remember, we now have a problem with America with the tariffs. While we were thinking of extending and expanding trade relations with the Middle East companies, now you have a problem with the war in the Middle East. And therefore now we are left with very few options, that is Asia and Europe. Of course, Africa would be the best because this is where we are. And we know that South Africa's trade relations with African countries is always skewed in favor of South Africa. In other words, we really export lots and lots of products to different African countries, which does help in terms of manufacturing. So if you don't address this tension, it's likely going to make the situation worse in terms of the economic challenges, which is the main cause of the current tension in the country because people don't.
Now, Pyamangam. Hey, Abahambe. Hey, you don't know anything. Hey, they are selling drugs. You are selling drugs. And again, guys, you see what I'm talking about? Your country, South Africa, can really come down within a night. If other countries choose to close your country, you are all in trouble. So know what you are doing when you go to those streets. Stop abusing people. Respect other people. You think that the families of those people who are here in this country, when they see you beating them up, mistreating them, they are happy. You think they're going to be happy? No. Africa, let's learn to be one and be united. We have people with serious agendas in South Africa. There's a secret that I know, and if I share it with you, black people, you will be shocked. There is those who believe that they've got a land, they don't have a land. I have to tell you now, leave the African brother here. Thank you for watching. I'm coming back with new more.
I told you guys, nothing will happen on the June 30th. Do you know why? This is the amount of money the government will lose if the June 30th happen. So the government will do everything in their power to stop it from happening. And if it happens, they will look for scapegoats. That's where these three guys come in. Jacinta and this guy. That's where they come in. So whatever happens on the June 30th will be pinned on these three. First, the government will try to stop it. But if they couldn't stop it, they will look for scapegoats. Just they watch.
Travelers who visit South Africa in a year, 77% of that number are actually Africans from Africa. On the average, South Africa makes roughly $20 billion to $22 billion from tourism in a year, and 77% of that revenue is generated from black Africans from Africa who choose to travel to South Africa for vacations, weddings, and tours, and so on. According to the most recent travel data for Africa for the year 2024, here are the most visited countries on the continent. The first is Morocco, which overtook Egypt from the top spot after many years, ladies and gentlemen. The second place is Egypt, mainly because of the pyramids and their long-standing history. And then you have Tunisia and South Africa. These are the top four most internationally visited countries in Africa. The data is true, ladies and gentlemen, but the data doesn't tell the entire story. Did you know that out of the 4 countries most visited in Africa, 3 of them mainly receive the most visitors from Europe, and 1 out of the 4, nearly 80% of their visitors come from African countries, ladies and gentlemen? So Morocco is number 1 with 17.4 million international visitors on the average in a year. Egypt, second place, receives 15.7 million of same international visitors in a year on the average. And Tunisia receives 10.3 million international visitors. These 3 most visited countries in Africa receive the vast majority of their visitors from Europe because the distance between the 2 continents is pretty close. However, South Africa receives almost 9 million visitors in a year. And guess where they get them from? Out of the 9 million international travelers who visit South Africa in a year, 77% of that number are actually Africans from Africa. Listen to that part again, ladies and gentlemen. International tourism contributed 361.7 billion rands directly to South Africa's GDP in 2024, which equals approximately 5% of the country's economy. Now, 361.7 billion rands equals $22 billion with a B. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? On the average, South Africa makes roughly $20 billion to $22 billion from tourism in a year, and 77% of that revenue is generated from black Africans from Africa who choose to travel to South Africa for vacations, weddings, and tours, and so on. Then you have Africans who go there to shoot their movies and music videos and capture interesting sites for their content, ladies and gentlemen. These are the people who contribute to the revenue of South Africa's tourism industry, which also supports 953,981 direct jobs in that country. Hotels and lodges, restaurants and catering, tour operators, tourism attractions, airlines and airports, car rentals, tourist transport services, and travel and tour agencies, ladies and gentlemen. This is how big the tourism industry in South Africa is, primarily based on black African tourists. South Africa, ladies and gentlemen, is the only African country among the top 5 most visited countries in Africa that makes the chunk of its tourism revenue from African tourists. The rest of them largely make it from European visitors. And this part will even interest you the most. Do you know where most of the Africans who go to South Africa actually come from as tourists? They are from Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Lesotho, Botswana, Nigeria, Ghana, and Namibia. Then you have Asians following next before Europeans. South Africa's tourism industry is only vibrant because of Africans. We make it relevant. This is why their targeted attacks on African migrants is completely counterproductive. They are literally shooting themselves in their foot, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I say President Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC party have fumbled it. They have fumbled South Africa's bag. It's going to take some time for them to realize what I'm saying. But when it finally starts, their domestic problems will get even worse. When the flight numbers begin to significantly reduce, and then the hotel's patronage is low, and the nightclub attendance is also low, and all the businesses that depend on tourists slow down, that's when they will understand the importance of interdependencies, ladies and gentlemen. No matter how bad you think migrant situation in South Africa is, there is always a variety of ways to go about it. You can quietly embark on an agenda that deports overstayed migrants and then tighten your borders at the same time, quietly. You can
To watch the full video of this video I just reacted on, go to YouTube on Tuntum's network. You're going to find the real video because this guy really stated it clear on how South Africans are going to lose if all foreigners decide to leave their country, and which is true. There are ways to do things than chasing away immigrants from your country. You can as well tighten your borders and do all sort of things, but chasing them away is going to cost a lot of things. Now Ghanaians have left and more are to leave South Africa. Nigerians are about to go. Malawis, Mozambique, Zimbabwe's, there are a lot of them, Kenya.